The Jets, they traded away some valuable pieces on their defense this week when they got rid of Sauce Gardner and Q Williams. So hopefully that means that Cleveland's offense will be able to be out there on the field and score some points. But even if that isn't the case, the Jets, they've allowed 31 sacks this year, and they've been a turnover machine. Welcome to Pigskin Passion TV, and it's your boy, the Black Mamba. And we back for another week of fantasy football. It's season 3, episode number 113. And guys, your boy is on a heater. I won my 4th straight game, and now things are looking pretty good to make the playoffs. I had told you guys last week this should be an easy win, but I actually had to sweat this one out just a tad. My guy here, he had 2 monster performances from Lamar Jackson and Bowers from Las Vegas. I knew those 2 could hurt me, but I didn't think any of the other guys he had in his lineup were going to do any damage. And for the most part, I was right. He got 0 here. If he had any help, this would have been an L for me. And my team actually did pretty good. The only thing I felt bad about was my guy, Jayden Daniels, probably has a season-ending injury. It didn't look good. But other than that, I had great production from pretty much my entire team. And the crazy thing is, I left points on the board with my bench here. I mean, there's no way I was going to start Joe Flacco over Jayden Daniels. But I contemplated this T. Higgins, Jaylen Warren, who I was going with. And it all came down to, I really didn't think Joe Flacco was going to be able to hold up the whole game because he had been on the injury list the entire week. So I was thinking, if Joe Flacco's not out there, who's going to get T. Higgins the ball? Well, Joe played the entire game and T. Higgins went slap off. So fortunately, I was still able to win, even though I left a good 40 points on the board. But guys, all in all, it was a great week. And with that said, let's go into these waiver wires for this week. First up, as I mentioned, and it's actually something I will be attending to this week, is picking up another quarterback, because not only is Jayden probably out for the remainder of the year, I also have CJ Stroud, who probably is in concussion protocol and won't play this week. And then Joe Flacco is on bye. It's a bad week to not have a quarterback to plug in. So I got to go out there and try to get Marcus Mariota this week after Jayden Daniels suffered that devastating injury in what really was a meaningless garbage time play because they had no chance to come back and win. I kept saying, why is he still out there? Like, when is he going to take him out? Is it going to be the last possession of the game? And this is what happened. I think he may be out for the season. They haven't really said, but Mariota has already started 3 games this season, and I'm desperate. And if you like me and you just so happen to have Daniel, you probably got to give him a shot. He's not going to be an MVP, but I think he can be of service and maybe help make a run to the championship. Now, let me just give a disclaimer, which I've thought about this week. When I'm giving out these waiver wire pickups, I'm assuming that people in your league are veterans and they have a little bit of experience. With that said, sometimes these waiver wire pickups that I give out, there may be somebody in your league on the waiver wire who's a lot better than the guy that I'm giving out. So if that's the case, it's a no-brainer to go and pick him up. And basically, these guys that I'm giving out is based on pretty much my league, but I know sometimes these players, they are available. And the next guy at quarterback here is Bryce Young. I had Bryce earlier in the season. I dropped him though because I felt like I had better options. Well, let's just say I'm back to square one. This week, he's still on the waiver wire in my league. And they actually have a decent matchup against the New Orleans Saints. And the Panthers, hey, I got to give it to them. They're actually showing up to games, not showing up like these other teams thinking that they're going to show up and play dead. They're coming to play. if I can't get Mariota and I have to go with Bryce Young, I feel like this could be a decent pickup this week, simply because the New Orleans Saints, they're just not it this year. At running back, Devin Singletary with the New York Giants. I thought Tyrone Tracy was going to be the guy after Scatterboo got hurt a couple of weeks ago, but actually Singletary, he's kind of split carries with Tyrone Tracy. Neither one of them have dominated, so there's a chance one or the other could take the backfield over, but they have a pretty good matchup this week against the Bears, whose defense is pretty running back friendly. So I think you're in a desperate mode this week and you need a running back. Devin Singletary probably is a guy you can probably plug and play this week. Another guy is Terrell Jennings with the New England Patriots. Ramondre missed last week's game, and Mr. Jennings shared the backfield with Trayvon Henderson. And even though Trayvon was the man, Jennings was still able to get 44 yards and a tutty. And most importantly that I saw was he was like the short yardage specialist. Us as fantasy guys, we don't like to see these running backs come in here and punch it in from 1 yard after your running back has ran that ball all the way down the field for 60, 70, sometimes 80 yards, and then they put this Yahoo in to run it in and score the touchdown and take your 6 points. It kind of reminds me of Jerome Bettis back in the day. I don't know how long you guys have been playing, but back in the day, Jerome Bettis would come in, he'd have 2 or 3 touchdowns with 15 yards rushing, and I'm just saying, he's a good stash with upside. So, Mr. Terrell Jennings, if you need some punch and you don't have anything to lose, give him a try. At wide receiver, Alec Pierce with the Indianapolis Colts. He's been sneaky good the past few weeks, and over the last 3 weeks, he's averaged like 9 targets with 4 receptions and 90 yards a game. So if he's available in your league, he could be a guy that could definitely add some punch at your flex position. They got rid of one of their young guns this week in Adonis Mitchell. They're probably still mad because he dropped that ball before he got to the end zone, costing them a victory earlier in the season. But Mr. Alec Pierce, he could be a good flex if you need one. Another guy is Kyle Williams with the New England Patriots. He could also be a good spot starter with Kayshon Boutte probably being out this week. They will need to put some points on the board. They're going to be playing Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this ain't a week that they can take off and not score any points. So he's going to have a stud in Drake May who will be able to get him the ball. So why not give him a chance this week if one of your starters is, or if your flex player is out? And again, that's Kyle Williams. And at tight end, if you had Tucker Kraft, then you got to go out and put a bid in on somebody because I'm sure that was your number one tight end. Why not go for his backup, Musgrave? Because Tucker was the number one tight end in fantasy. Now, I don't think Musgrave is going to give you that same punch, but if he can give you anything of resemblance, it's going to be an added bonus. At nothing else, if you need a spot starter this week, he makes a good spot starter to bring in. The next guy, and this is a guy that I may go out and pick up in one of my other leagues, and that's Colston Loveland. I gave you guys this guy a couple of weeks ago, and if you went out there and picked him up, it paid big dividends for you last weekend because he got 118 yards and 2 tutties after Cole Kmet went out with a concussion. And more than likely, he's going to be out this week again. So as long as Kmet is out, this is a guy that you probably need to have in your starting lineup. I've liked this offense since the beginning of the year with the coach. I like his play calling. So Colston Loveland is a guy that if you need some punch at tight end, you need to go out and get this guy. And again, I streamed my defenses, and I may have overran my welcome with the New England Patriots last week because they threw up a dud for me. They didn't even, the Falcons should have won the game. But anyway, the Patriots only put up 5 points. So it's time for me to go back to my strategy of streaming defenses every week. And this week, I have 2 defenses on tap. The first defense is the Cleveland Browns. Now, this isn't going to be pretty, guys, because Cleveland's offense just flat out stinks. But the defense is top notch. And the Jets, they traded away some valuable pieces on their defense this week when they got rid of Sauce Gardner and Q Williams. So hopefully that means that Cleveland's offense will be able to be out there on the field and score some points. But even if that isn't the case, the Jets, they've allowed 31 sacks this year, and they've been a turnover machine. They've turned the ball over 10 times. I like the chance of the Jets struggling again this week, so Cleveland is my number 1 team to go out there and bid on. If for some reason I can't get Cleveland, then I'm going to take a chance with these Carolina Panthers. Simply put, the New Orleans Saints are not very good. You know, they benched a bad quarterback for a worse quarterback. So I like picking up defenses going against bad quarterbacks. And this week, if I have to get them, it won't be any different. I'll take my chance. I like the Panthers because they're going to offer a high floor with a ceiling that's sky high. So Carolina Panthers will be my backup if I can't get the Cleveland Browns. And guys, I hope that some of these pickups I gave you were gems, and you may be able to go and pick these guys up in your league and dominate. If these were gems, do me a favor, subscribe, hit that like button, and comment. And until the next time, it's your boy, the Black Mamba, out.